Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to Timeless Romance Tales. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more dark aristocratic romance, dangerous proximity, and stories where power turns into possession. Now let's begin. The first thing everyone noticed was who the Duke of Caldemore chose to stand beside him. The second thing they noticed was how closely he kept her there. Isolde Fenwick felt it the moment she entered the grand gallery. Eyes following her steps, whispers trailing behind silk fans, judgment settling like dust on polished marble. She had walked into rooms like this before, but never with this weight pressing against her spine, because today she was not merely a guest. She was the Duke's shield. "Do not step away from me," Duke Rowan Caldemore murmured, his voice low enough that only she could hear. "Even if they bow?" she asked softly. "Especially then." His hand rested at the small of her back. Not intimate, not gentle, but unmistakably possessive. A signal to the court that she was not to be approached, questioned, or underestimated. Isolde inhaled slowly. Only a week ago, she had been summoned to Caldemore House under the guise of temporary service. No explanation. No choice. Now she stood beside the most powerful duke in the realm, while nobles watched with open curiosity and restrained fear. "Smile," Rowan said. She did. "Not like that," he added. She adjusted. "Better." She turned her head slightly. "You're enjoying this." His lips curved faintly. "I'm controlling it." The threat against Rowan Caldemore had been subtle. Too subtle for most. A misplaced comment in council. A delayed report. A pattern of absences among loyal guards. Rowan had recognized it instantly. Someone was testing his perimeter. And instead of retreating, the Duke had advanced, publicly. He needed a constant presence at his side. A visible vulnerability. Something the court would watch instead of him. Isolde Fenwick had been perfect. Unmarried. Respectable. Politically connected enough to matter, but not enough to raise suspicion. Known for her composure, her discretion, and her inconvenient habit of listening far too well. "You're using me as bait," she had said when he explained it. "Yes," Rowan replied calmly. "You could have chosen anyone. I chose you." That had not been reassuring. "You look calm," Lady Harrington observed now, leaning close as the orchestra swelled. Isolde inclined her head. "I learned early that panic invites interest." "Still," the woman murmured, eyes flicking to Rowan, standing beside him. Isolde felt Rowan's grip tighten imperceptibly. "She's under my protection," he said before Isolde could reply. Lady Harrington smiled thinly. "Of course, Your Grace." When she moved away, Isolde exhaled. "You didn't have to do that," she said. "Yes, I did," Rowan replied. "They needed to hear it." "Why?" "Because if they believe you're expendable," he said quietly, "you become expendable." She looked up at him. "And what do you believe?" Rowan met her gaze, unreadable. "I believe you're safer where I can see you." The days blurred into a strange new routine. Public appearances. Council gatherings. Walks through the gardens with guards always just out of earshot. Rowan never left her side. Not once. At night, Isolde was escorted to chambers directly across from his own. The corridor between them remained guarded at all hours. "You don't trust your men?" she asked one evening. "I trust patterns," Rowan replied. "And someone is waiting for an opening. And you think I'm it?" "I think," he said slowly, "that if someone wants to reach me, they'll try through you." Her stomach tightened. "You're frighteningly calm about that." "So are you." She surprised herself by smiling faintly. "Fear wastes time." He studied her with something like approval. The first real danger came at a ball. Music thundered. Laughter echoed. Wine flowed too freely. Isolde felt it before Rowan did. A shift in the crowd. A sudden density near the western archway. "Rowan," she murmured. He turned instantly. "What?" "Someone's watching us." "Not the usual kind." His gaze swept the room. Then he felt it too. "Stay close," he ordered. The man approached quickly, too quickly. Rowan moved without hesitation, pulling Isolde firmly against his chest, turning so his body shielded hers. Guards surged forward. The man was seized before he could speak. Silence fell. Gasps rippled. Rowan did not release her. Not even when the man was dragged away. Not even when the orchestra hesitantly resumed. "You're shaking," he said quietly. Isolde realized he was right. "I didn't think it would happen so publicly." "Neither did they," Rowan replied. "That was a mistake." She looked up at him. "Yours or mine?" "Mine," he said. "For underestimating how much they'd risk to test me." His arm remained locked around her. The court took note. That night, Isolde confronted him. "You promised me this was a precaution," she said, pacing his study. "Not an execution waiting to happen." Rowan stood by the window, hands clasped behind his back. "It still is. I could have been killed." "Yes." The word landed heavily. "And you still think this is acceptable?" He turned, then eyes sharp. "I think it's necessary." She stopped. "Necessary for whom?" "For me," he admitted. "And now for you." Her voice trembled despite her control. "You don't get to decide that alone." Rowan crossed the room in 3 strides. "I get to decide how I protect what's been placed in my care." "I am not an object," she snapped. "No," he said, lowering his voice. "You're a responsibility I refuse to lose." The words stole her breath. "Since when?" she asked quietly. His gaze held hers. "Since the moment you didn't run." After that night, everything changed. Rowan no longer pretended distance. He stayed with her during meals, sat beside her in council chambers, walked her through corridors long after etiquette required it. Whispers shifted. "She's not just a shield," they said. "He's claimed her," others murmured. Isolde heard it all. "You're ruining my reputation," she told him one morning. "You didn't have one before this," he replied dryly. She frowned. "And now you have mine," he added. She laughed despite herself. The second attempt came in private. A servant. A blade hidden in linen. A moment meant to pass unnoticed. Rowan intersected it in time. But not without cost. Isolde found him later, blood soaking his sleeve. Her breath caught. "Rowan." "I'm fine," he said automatically. She ignored him, pulling him into a chair. "Seat." He obeyed. Her hands were steady as she cleaned the wound. "You shouldn't be doing this," she murmured. "Neither should you," he replied, watching her intently. "Why did you take the hit?" she demanded. "Because I was closer." "You didn't have to." "Yes," he said quietly. "I did." Her hands stilled. "Why?" Rowan met her gaze, something unguarded slipping through. "Because somewhere between using you as a shield," he said, "and standing beside you every day, I stopped seeing you as expendable." Her chest tightened. "That's not a comforting admission. It's an honest one." The truth settled slowly. Rowan no longer slept well unless he knew she was safe. He no longer made decisions without considering her presence. He no longer imagined a future where she wasn't beside him. And Isolde, despite herself, had begun to anticipate his footsteps, his voice, the weight of his attention. "You're keeping me too close," she said one night. "I'm keeping you alive," he replied. "And if I want more than survival?" she asked. Silence. Then Rowan stepped closer. "Then you're asking for something I won't be able to give halfway." Her heart pounded. "I don't want halfway." The confrontation came at dawn. The mastermind revealed. Arrival faction exposed. The danger ended not with blood, but with leverage. Rowan won. Decisively. The court exhaled. "You're free now," Isolde said later that evening. "Yes." "And me?" she asked. Rowan looked at her for a long moment. "I no longer need a shield." She swallowed. "Then let me go." He stepped closer. "I won't," he said simply. She searched his face. "Is that an order?" "No, Wendy Blythe. It's a confession." He reached for her, not to restrain but to offer. "This started as strategy," he said. "It ended as choice." She placed her hand in his. "Then choose me openly." He did. From that day on, Isolde no longer stood beside him as protection. She stood beside him as presence. And the Duke of Caldermore, once untouchable, once isolated, was finally known not for the power he wielded, but for the woman he refused to let go. The court did not accept the Duke's victory quietly. Power never surrendered without resistance. It only changed tactics. Within days, whispers turned sharper. Invitations thinned. Allies who once lingered near Rowan now kept careful distance, measuring which way the wind had truly shifted. And at the center of every calculation stood Isolde. She's still the weakness, Rowan's advisor warned him one night. They'll keep testing that. Rowan did not look away from the fire. Then let them. Isolde turned from the window. You say that too easily. He met her gaze. Because you no longer belong to the strategy. Her breath caught. Then what am I to you now? Silence stretched. Heavy, deliberate. You are the line they will not cross, he said. Because I won't survive it. She studied his face, searching for irony. There was none. The next attack was subtler. No blades. No confrontations. A petition reached the crown questioning Isolde's continued presence beside the Duke. Her lack of formal claim. Her improper influence. Her convenient proximity. Rowan read it once. Then handed it to her. You should see what they're saying, he said. Isolde scanned the document, jaw tightening. They want me removed quietly, she said. Disgraced. Sent away before I can be defended. Yes. And you? She asked. I want you to decide, Rowan replied. Because whatever you choose, I will back it publicly. Her heart thundered. For the first time, she said slowly, you're not deciding for me. He inclined his head. I learned. She folded the petition neatly. Then I stay, she said. Not because you asked, but because I refused to be erased. Something fierce flared in Rowan's eyes. The council chamber fell silent when Isolde entered beside him the following morning. No announcement. No explanation. Just presence. Nobles stared openly now, some curious, others calculating, a few openly hostile. When a lord finally spoke, it was with false politeness. Forgive the question, Your Grace, he said to Rowan. But is the lady authorized to attend? Rowan didn't answer. Isolde did. I am, she said evenly. Because the Duke has never once hidden me. Rowan turned then, slowly, and placed his hand over hers on the table. And because, he added, any business conducted here affects her safety as much as my own. A murmur rippled through the chamber. The line had shifted. That night, Rowan found Isolde in the gallery, standing before a window overlooking the grounds. They're afraid now, she said softly. Yes, he replied. And you don't regret binding yourself to me so publicly? He stepped closer. I regret not doing it sooner. She turned to face him. Say it plainly, she said. Not as a duke. Not as a strategist. Rowan's voice lowered. I choose you, he said. Even when it costs me. Her breath shuddered. And if the court demands proof? His hand slid to her waist. Possessive, deliberate. Then they'll have it. The final reckoning came at the Queen's audience. Questions were raised. Boundaries tested. Motives dissected. When Isolde was asked to step back, just briefly, Rowan refused. She stays, he said. Why? The Queen asked coolly. Rowan didn't hesitate. Because every threat meant for me, he said, has passed through her first. Silence. Then Isolde stepped forward. And because, she added calmly, I am no longer his shield. The Queen studied her. And what are you then? Isolde met her gaze without fear. I am the woman he stands with, she said. By choice. The court understood then. Not a shield. Not a pawn. Position. Later, when the palace doors closed behind them, Isolde finally exhaled. You've made enemies, she said. Rowan smiled faintly. I always had them. And now, he said, drawing her closer. They know exactly what I'll destroy to protect. She rested her forehead against his chest. You stopped letting me go, she murmured. I never meant to, he replied. I just didn't know it yet. And in that moment Isolde understood. She had never been his weakness. She had been the place where his power finally chose to rest.